A very wise man a very long time ago said that you can never put your foot in the same river twice. You cannot step into a flowing river and expect to find yourself in quite the same place you were the last time you tested the water with your toes. Even under what may seem a calm, still surface, mighty currents flow and sediments swirl. A river is always changing. And so are you, and so am I, and so is everyone and everything we know. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus also said that change is the only thing that endures, that change alone is unchanging. And it's true. Everything around us is always in a state of flux. We ourselves are always in the middle of becoming what we are and what we will be. But though change is the way of the world and a central fact of life, it's striking how often we resist it, how often we actively work to hold it back and try to keep it at bay. How much heartache we create for ourselves by holding fiercely to what was, rather than embracing what is. The Buddhists have taught us this for a long time, that the source of our suffering is rooted in our attachments, in holding on to the illusion that we can somehow freeze the river and hang on forever to some precious, shining moment in time. But even with our best efforts, that is not the way the world works. If I had to sum up what my work as a minister involves, I would say it is simply about helping people to cope with the changes of their lives. Those transitions, those turning point moments when everything is slowly or suddenly different and nothing seems quite the same. Birth and death, graduation and retirement, marriage, or the loss of a love. Those are some of the biggies, of course, but there are others too. Those countless little changes we see as our bodies and our minds age. Those changes we measure in the faces and the lives of those near and dear to us. Those changes that take our breath away when we see someone for the first time in a long time and realize, as though we've had a mirror held up to us, that the ever-changing river does indeed flow on and on. One of my mentors often said that we create community around us so that we will have people to bear witness to our lives. I've come to believe that that is true. And I've come to see it as one of the most important gifts that we give to one another in a community of memory and hope such as this. To bear witness to each other's lives and to bear witness together to life itself. But even here, of course, change comes too. I mean, here we are, sitting in a loading dock of an old post office. We have gathered today in this shelter of sorts, this strange boat, amid the churning waters of uncertainty, at what is hopefully the beginning of the end of the pandemic, but what is also a time when our nation and our world mourns the death of the Queen and marks what on so many levels feels like the end of an age. We gather at the close of a summer that has emphatically proved to us once again the mounting perils of climate change. And we gather on the 200th day of our proxy war with Russia, which promises to have no quick end in sight. We are living through a time of tremendous upheaval, at a true hinge of human history. The river around us is swirling ever onward. And it is fair in this moment that we are struggling to feel that we are struggling in this moment through some pretty serious Class 6 rapids. The question of our times is in how we respond. Whether we sink or swim in these waters, whether we paddle with all of our might against the current, whether we seek to somehow change the course of the river itself, or whether we can come eventually to embrace the ebb and flow of it all, accepting the wild adventure that we're on, while holding to our deepest values and clinging to one another until we make it through to more manageable waters? I don't fully know the answer to this question. I doubt there is just one. If anything, it seems we may need many strategies, a variety of approaches to meet life's tough conditions as they come at us, each of us adapting as best we can to our evolving circumstances. What I do know, though, is that while we can't turn back the tides of change, and though we can't always control what's happening outside our little boat, there is some peace to be found by learning to ride the waves rather than be battered by them. To be like the little duck in a poem by Donald Babcock, a duck that he says rides the ocean waves far beyond the surf. Babcock's poem goes on. This is one sort of duck who cuddles in the swells. He isn't cold, and he is thinking things over. There is a big heaving in the Atlantic, and he is a part of it. He looks a bit like a mandarin or the Lord Buddha meditating under the bo tree, but he has hardly enough above the eyebrows to be a philosopher. He has poise, however, which is what a philosopher must have. And he can rest while the Atlantic heaves because he rests in the Atlantic. Probably he doesn't know how large the Atlantic is, and neither do you, but he realizes it. And what does he do, I ask? He just sits down in it. He reposes in the immediate as if it were infinity, which it is. He has made himself part of the boundless by easing himself into it just where it touches him. He has made himself part of the boundless by easing himself into it just where it touches him. Babcock ends the poem saying that that is religion and that the duck has it. I love this poem. I love the image of the little duck at one with the water, riding the waves with confidence and calm as they churn around him. He is a reminder to me that though the challenges of change are a fact, how we respond to them is always a choice. So let us learn to be more like that little duck, reposing in the immediate as if it were infinity, resting in the boundlessness of all that is sacred in this world, truly practicing our religion in the here and now, and knowing that this present moment is for us our precious part of eternity. So may it be. So may it be for us all. Amen.